And that was fun too, and somebody actually even recorded it, so that was great, right? Don't laugh, your turn will come, my friend. So, today we have 6 speakers, they graduate today, and Harish Bhai Dang is the gentleman who will be giving the certificates to them. He's also here, I think he's taking a call now, and here he comes. So, Ajay Harish Bhai. So, before we proceed further, I would request everybody to turn your phones into vibration mode. And if you really are a big fan of your children, what I'm going to do, I hope you guys can do, please put your cell phones and smartphones away on this table. So you are not tempted to look at the Facebook, LinkedIn, emails, text messages, WhatsApp, Snapchats, anything, right? And we can respect the children by listening to them. Feel free to ask any questions to them. And I think they should be able to give you a candy if you ask a good question. Okay, and it has to be a good question pertaining to their speech. So without much ado, what we are going to have today is 6 speakers. The 6th speaker will actually come first and introduce the first speaker, and then the first speaker will introduce the second speaker, and so on. Believe it or not, the children have really worked hard on this, not just for the graduation, and one of the single largest message they are taking home is that if you are not prepared, it's not fun to do anything at all, right? All? Yes. And you are supposed to just blindly nod your head when the teacher asks you a question, right? Okay, good. So thank you. Without much ado, may I have the pleasure of inviting Miss Pooja Kauda, and she will lead the proceedings for now. Come on, beta. Let's go. Give her a big hand, guys.
Our first speaker for the day is Vania Gautam. Vania is 10 years old and she lives in Hopkinton. She goes to Hopkins School and she is in 5th grade and she has one older brother. So,
Wow.
Hi, my name is Vania Gautam and today I'm going to be talking about one very famous person. First of all, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
Great. Okay, so let's get started. So, the famous person I'm going to be talking about is Bill Gates. So you may know Bill Gates as the richest man on earth. It's great if you know the story, how he became the richest man on earth. But even if you don't worry, I'll tell you all about it. So let's get started. I'm going to split it up into 4 categories: his childhood, his teenage life, early adulthood, and adulthood. Okay? So Bill Gates' childhood was very interesting. At the age of 5, he read the whole encyclopedia in only 2 hours and memorized the whole thing, which is very, very impressive. And his parents thought, well, there's something special about Bill, right? He read the whole encyclopedia in only 2 hours and memorized the whole thing. So they gave him an IQ test, and his score turned out to be 125, which is a really good score, especially for a 5-year-old. And 140 on an IQ test is considered a genius. So he was very close. So his parents then knew that there is something special about Bill, but then they thought that let's keep it a secret. We don't want people to be treating Bill differently, right? So they kept it a secret, and they told Bill that let's just keep it a secret because we don't want people to be treating you differently. And so Bill got it. He was like, okay, I get what you're trying to say, so we'll just keep it a secret. So Bill kept it a secret, and he didn't tell his friends, which was okay for a while. And then at the age of 9, Bill Gates made his first computer. Do any of you guys have any of your first computers that you bought, or any laptops that you have?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So some of you do and some of you don't. But Bill Gates still has his that has all of his documents on it for Microsoft till this day. That's in his room. So next I would like to be talking about his teenage life. So Bill Gates and his family moved a lot because they didn't want people to figure out about his gifted talent. So when they would move around, they finally found a spot that they thought, okay, this is a good spot to stop. And they stopped there. And everyone there called him the Lakeside Whiz Kid because he was all-rounded. He was good at sports while being good at studies, which everyone thought that would be a really good friend to have. So Bill liked it that way and just kept it like that for 3 or 4 years. But then he thought that, well, if these people are really my friends, then they would know that they would trust me for who I am. And they did. So, because of that, Bill told all of his friends, and they were like, we appreciate you for who you are. We are really happy that you have this good talent, but even if you didn't, we would still like you. And even that now that you told us, we will still like you as much. So Bill spent most of his time with his friends after school. Do you guys have any activities you like to do with your friends after school?
Reading.
Hang out.
So most of you guys hang out, reading, or do something special with them. So Bill liked to do, what he liked to do with his friends is reading, hanging out, going canoeing, and doing homework together. So now I'm going to be talking about his early adulthood or his high school life. So Bill is now kind of ending 8th grade, going into 9th, and thinking about what college he wants to go to. But one saying that he always said is that I will never, so he meant that wherever I am or wherever I go, I'll never change my love for learning and my love for computers, which that saying still sticks with him every day. And so 3 colleges wanted him: MIT, Harvard University, and Boston University. So he didn't really know yet what to do. So he asked his friends, he asked his family, and he asked some of his teachers. And they all said, and then he came to the decision of going to Harvard University, which I think was a good idea for Bill. So at Harvard, Bill was very happy. He had a full scholarship, and he loved staying there. He had a lot of new friends. And then he liked it like that for 3 years, and he thought life is going so great. But then, one night, he had a crazy dream that, why don't I start my own company? And he thought, but then 2 seconds later, he's like, oh my gosh, I am so crazy. Why would I start my own company? I mean, that's so silly. But then he was like, and then he just said, let's just forget about the idea. But that idea stuck with him, and he couldn't, it wouldn't come out of his mind. So he thought and thought some more, and then he figured out that actually, I think I might make this work. I mean, I have a little bit of business from being at Harvard, and I know a lot about computers, so I could start like a software company. And then he thought, and he's like, yeah, right, I could do this. I mean, if I could already get into Harvard University, why can't I start my own company? And so, but then he thought, wait a second, how can I do college and do good? Or how can I start a company and do good? Because even though I'm Bill Gates, I can't do both things good. So, what he thought is that, what's more important to me? Finishing college or starting my own company? So he ended up dropping out of Harvard University, which he thought was a good decision, but when he told his parents, they thought the total opposite. They were so angry with Bill. They were like, why did you leave college? That was not a good decision. I mean, how can you start a company if you didn't even finish college? But then Bill said, okay guys, listen to me. I have a plan. That's the only reason why I dropped out. And so he told his parents the plan, and they were like, actually, you might make this work, but we're still very angry with you that you didn't talk to us before you made this decision. So now I'm going to be talking about Bill's adulthood. So now Bill has started working on a project, and he's thinking he has already his family working with him and a couple of friends. But he still needs way more people to make a big accomplishment. So he goes to a career fair. His and his team go to a career fair. And they find 25 workers who want to work at Microsoft. And so they hire them. And one person that Bill really liked, her name was Melinda. And then Melinda became the secretary of Microsoft. And Bill really liked Melinda, and then soon they got married. That sounds a little fishy, right? Bill Gates is marrying the secretary of his job. And then Melinda, there was an interview that she had with some of the paparazzi, and they said, They asked, so what's the difference between before the marriage and after the marriage? So Melinda said, before the marriage, I got a salary. After the marriage, I didn't have any salary. But Bill was like, oh well, who cares? So now Bill Gates and Melinda and the whole team launched Windows, which is a really big accomplishment for Microsoft. And then because of that, 5 years later, IBM, a really big company, signed a major deal with Microsoft. So that's how Bill Gates became a billionaire, just because of Windows, which is really good. Next, Bill Gates thought, well, now what can I do? And he thought, and then he started the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. So the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation gives clothes, money, shelter, and food to the poor who need it. So their latest adventure is when they went to Africa and they gave away clothes, they gave medicine and shelter to people who needed it. Now 1,000 people have homes in Africa, which is a really, really big accomplishment for them. So now Bill Gates and Melinda had their first child, Jennifer Gates. Then they had Phoebe Gates and Roy Gates. And Bill didn't want to be the type of father to their children who goes to work so early and then comes back so late. So what he thought is that I'll just go normally at 6 o'clock, like most parents do, and come back at 5 o'clock, like most parents do. So their kids would think that, okay, he spends still time with us. And so that's what he did. So he was like most of our parents who go to work at 6 and then they come back at 5. So today I told you about Bill Gates, his childhood, his teenage life, early adulthood, and adulthood. Thank you for listening to my speech. And next I would like to introduce my good friend Ayush, who is in 7th grade. He is in Johnson Middle School. He loves and watching all different types of sports, but his favorite is basketball. So let's give a big round of applause for him.
Give it a high five. Good job. Awesome.
Good job. 1 sec.